So knowing that there is this separation and disconnect of how women show up in the workplace and how men show up in the workplace, and that bro culture, it takes true intent to lean in to try to understand what that looks like and engage with the women and the other minorities of your workplace to shape and design experiences where everyone feels that sense of belonging.
Hello there, this is John Bernatovich, your host of the HR Like a Boss podcast. Thank you for listening. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share with a friend. I've embarked on a journey to get to know amazingly awesome HR and business professionals, and I'm trying to understand what it takes to do HR like a boss. On today's show, I'm delighted to be joined by Elisa Garn. I actually was following Elisa on LinkedIn and saw a bunch of her amazing posts that she was doing. And I thought, what the heck, I'll reach out to her and see if she would like to be on the podcast. And luckily she accepted my invitation. So Elisa, welcome to the HR Like a Boss podcast.
Thank you. I can't think of a better co-brand than HR Like a Boss. This is where I should be.
So Elisa, I'm going to start off with my standard get things going, get the juices flowing on all things HR. So how would you describe the purpose of human resources?
HR, I think that when you look at the history of the profession and where it was rooted in protecting people. And I mean protecting people in terms of like making sure they didn't die at work. And so we've evolved. We've got some laws that have been placed over the years, and we've got OSHA, and we have a lot more eyes and ears on the wall of our workplaces to make sure that those things aren't happening anymore. But it really hasn't changed that much, in my opinion. I think that the purpose of HR inside any organization is to create an environment and foster an environment where people can do their best work and feel valued for the work that they are providing, and feel like they can bring their whole selves to that place without having to mute or negate or dismiss or justify who they are and the way that they take up space. So it gets, I think that my personal take, and I think that we have this shared alignment, that HR really has, it is probably the profession that has the ability to change and shape the world on such a grand scale.
Well, speaking of that, you had a recent LinkedIn post about engaging and compelling online courses, what it takes to build something like that. What did you mean by finding that compelling, engaging online course, and what did your post yield you as far as intel?
So the post that you're referencing was a recent announcement of my job change. And what I was sharing was why I chose to take yet another pivot in my career and take, basically leverage what I've done in HR and what I've learned and how I've been able to grow as a business professional outside of what I considered more of my micro career as an HR professional, and take that into this content that I had been trained on by the organization that I joined. The reason it was so compelling is it's proprietary, of course, but the way that it teaches things is the way that I have been saying for years, like screaming at HR professionals. Start with the end in mind. You've got to do, like when you build things in HR, you need to do it through the lens of what employees want, of what a CEO wants. If you want to drive adoption, if you want to have an impact, if you want to make change, you've got to do it with the end in mind and work your way backward from that. And this framework that I had learned, some of it was online, but most of it was this in-person course that I had gone through. That's exactly what they teach. They take a traditional bow tie funnel of, lead generation up at the top, and then you disseminate it down to purchase, and then, and then what happens? And they've basically taken that and flipped it on its side to a bow tie funnel of, you have a sales experience process, and at point of purchase, you still amplify that funnel on the other end, which is driving what we call long-term or lifetime value of, of an employee or of a of a relationship or of a customer. And you have to do it through that brand ambassadorship of like, why do they keep coming back? Why would they continue to work with you in this way? Or why would they evangelize others to come and use your product? And so when you start with that particular point and then work your way back through the funnel to the top of the funnel, you get significantly better results.
All right. So I think this was the actual blog that caught my attention and started following you on LinkedIn about this concept of bro culture. And for a leader, owner of my firm, that I have 4 female leaders, women leaders on my leadership team. It's an interesting dynamic of which I know can really be a thing. And I loved your article. So I wondered if you could share a little bit about what that blog meant to you and some of the responses that you got.
Well, I have to be cautious here because even though I have these really, really like opinionated rants every once in a while, it's never through the lens of exclusion. Like, I don't think that men are bad people. I don't think that women are bad people. I think that people are people. And sometimes we just aren't aware of how we show up in the world. But I share this as a preface to what I consider bro culture, which is rampant where I live in Utah, rampant. I love Utah with all my heart. I will live here until the day I die. And if anybody tries to tell me that their state is better than mine, I will fight you. I will fight you because I love Utah so much. But man, we are weirdos. We are total weirdos when it comes to how we engage with gender, we engage with politics, we engage with religion, and it shows up in the workplace every single day. Without malice, without negative intent, it just is. And what you tend to see is very young entrepreneurs that start these businesses. You know, we've got 3 universities that spit out incredible MBA talent all over the state. And then they all want to go make their mark and build their unicorn company and have an exit and make their millions and go be lifestyle CEOs, you know, on yachts in Florida or whatever. So you have this churn that's constantly going of young entrepreneurs that are trying to make their mark. They build a very successful company. They hire people just like them that know the same sports teams and go to the same churches and have the same friend communities because it's very incestuous in that way. You know, we like to work with people we're comfortable with, and it's natural to adapt to what's like us. So what ends up happening unintentionally is these are the people that, as they start to hire women, have no freaking idea that they're alienating the women in the workplace by things like, we're going to have a team activity and we're going to go shoot guns, or we're going to have a team activity and we're going to go skiing for the day. Like, not all women want to do stuff like that. And sometimes it can be really intimidating. Like, for example, I worked for a company that wanted to go on a boat cruise for a weekend, you know, rent a houseboat for our 20 employees. And there was 3 women and the rest were men. And we're like, I don't want to be in a bikini, basically my underwear around my coworkers. Like, this is so uncomfortable. But again, it's not on purpose. They're not doing this to try to make women feel bad or, you know, body shame them or anything. It's just a lens that they can't see through. Like tampons in the bathroom, you know, what man would think of that? Like, you can't even say tampon without blushing. So knowing that there is this separation and disconnect of how women show up in the workplace and how men show up in the workplace, and that bro culture, it takes true intent to lean in to try to understand what that looks like and engage with the women and the other minorities of your workplace to shape and design experiences where everyone feels that sense of belonging. Doesn't mean they're going to get it right every time, but I think we're more willing to forgive it if we at least see that they're trying.
All right. So last thing, I'll get you out of here on this, and hopefully something that my listeners are getting today from your particular sentiment and insight. I really appreciated you being on the show today, but I get all of my guests out of here on this idea of how would you describe someone that does HR like a boss?
Well, excuse me. I think that HR like a boss is probably more mindset than anything. Like, if you're going into it with the idea that number 1, it's possible, and number 2, you're doing it through empathy and the understanding of what the purpose can be, but ensuring that you have the right tools and filling in the gaps where you don't to elevate yourself to be able to have that influence. I think it really, the most important thing to me is, do you have the right mindset of what this can be and the purpose behind it? And the rest, I feel like, just kind of dominoes from there in terms of being able to follow through and then deploy that kind of impact.
Elisa, I really appreciate you being on. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Yes, thank you, John. I'm always happy to connect with fellow evangelists. So Thank you for the invite to share some of my knowledge and sharing yours as well. I appreciate that.
Thank you for checking out the HR Like a Boss podcast. If it resonates with you, please consider leaving a rating and review. And better yet, subscribe and share with a friend. Until next time, let's continue to aspire to do amazingly awesome HR.